Alright, so we just finished watching the brand new Square Enix Presents event with some really juicy stuff for Outriders and for Marvel's Avengers. So we're gonna break these down in different videos, but in this one I do want to focus on that Outriders content as, yeah, the game is like, what, 2 weeks out at this point, and there's quite some stuff to talk about here in this video as we also have some brand new details from the developers. There's also the brand new footage in that cinematic trailer, so a ton of discuss in this video. As always, if you enjoy it at any point, don't forget to leave a thumbs up on it and let's jump right into it. But let's begin with the brand new trailer right here called Appreciate Power. I think that this is like one of the best and most action-packed trailers that we've seen so far for the game. Of course, it does show 3 or 4 of the classes like just going in ham against some of these boss enemies. Now, if you paid any attention to the game, the human enemies that we saw right now in the demo don't even begin to scratch the surface when it comes to the really awesome ones that we will encounter later on in the game at the higher challenges. And more specifically, there's some small little sequences here and there with a few monster hunts. Now, I'm not really sure if you paid any attention to that, but in the full game we also get access to monster hunting, which is basically kind of like an expedition of its own where you go ahead and fight more powerful versions of monsters, including like even bosses and whatnot, depending on the scenario, depending on the creature that you're fighting. But at some point in the trailer we saw the team fighting what appear to be 2 big jaws, which also have specific monster hunts for them in the full game, but in this case the team is fighting what appears to be 2 at the same time. So yeah, even though this isn't like in-game footage, it's just cinematic trailer, it could be just a representation of how that end game is going to look like, especially the expeditions, where we might get to encounter many of these bosses and mini bosses and not just one like how it is in the main campaign or through the side missions. But overall it looks pretty impressive. I think that this is like the best we've seen Outriders up until this point. I think that at some point we also saw the Brood Mother boss right here in one of these shots, and again, these are just a few of the cool designs that we will see in the full game, in this case in a more cinematic kind of way. Now, there's other things that I do want to discuss past this really awesome trailer. Of course, the game is still going to launch on April 1st, but there was a thread yesterday on Reddit where, well, developers have discussed, in this case, the cover system and some of the changes that they are planning along the way, with a recent official statement from the Outriders team mentioning that they are still working hard on bringing you the Xbox patch, as well as some news regarding the inventory wipe issue that is still underway. Hopefully we will be able to share something about these in the next few days. Thanks again for the patience and the support. And then we also have well, the thread right here about the cover system. Now, I'm not going to go over the specifics and how it works. You likely already know about the proximity cover detection and the cover to cover system and how it basically functions. What I do want to talk about is some of the major issues that even the developers have acknowledged right here, including the one with the delay when switching from predictive cover selection to proximity cover selection. So this is essentially a timing issue that forces the system to look for the cover in your movement direction while your character is already stationary and should be entering cover next to it. So we've also observed this happening when leaving cover with movement input. I believe it's responsible for many instances where a character fails to enter cover in combat, so this is currently being investigated. Another one is when entering cover after doing a dodge roll. So this was a design decision that they've made. According to the announcement, characters need to be at a certain stage of the roll animation to allow them to enter cover, as it has caused a great number of situations where characters are not entering cover when players expect them to. We are currently looking at the possibility to either extend that window at the end of the roll animation or introducing a roll cancelling by entering cover. Now, depending how much you like fluid animations or not, you might prefer one of these solutions over the other. Like if they introduce a roll cancelling when you enter cover, that might be a little bit jarring to some people because you're essentially breaking that animation and you're kind of skipping it unless they find another way to do it. But at the same time, in this way, this would give you a better gameplay technically advantage because it would mean you would be able to better get close or right behind that cover, but again, it might be a little bit jarring. The other way around, it at least improves the current system, but it's still not going to be that perfect. Another issue with the cover was when entering the cover immediately after shooting, so the cover entering would be cancelled by a weapon animation. This is still an issue that is recently being investigated, so while we believe these are the main culprits for cover system failings, we are continuing to test it, resolve issues, and read community feedback. Please feel free to report your observations in regards to all of these. The final note in the thread is the lack of cover cornering. Some of you have pointed out that Outriders doesn't include a feature to go around the corner of the cover, so you are kind of able to do that in the game. It's kind of like that a cover to cover system that you can use where your character kind of, well, does that, but it's not like full on cover to cover. It's not seamless, and you need to press that either space button or whatever button is it on the controller to actually start it in the first place, so it might not be ideal for everybody. Even the developers acknowledge that, yeah, we understand that this isn't the method you are familiar with from other games where you hold direction input to do so, so that's exactly what I was talking about. So in this case, they are kind of doing it in a different kind of way, which it seems that it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be in the full game as well, so might as well just get used to it while you can. Now, in the full game, of course, there's going to be a lot of differences compared to the demo, not just when it comes to how the game plays and what content you have, but also when it comes to the technical stuff. Like right now, what we have in the demo is the DirectX 11 version of the game and not the X12, which was confirmed to be the version that we will play when the game launches. And well, if you go ahead on Steam right now, you can kind of test it. You can simply input like that DX12 parameter in the settings of the game in the Steam client, and you're going to be able to play it on the DirectX 12 architecture. But it actually does change things quite a bit even right now in the demo. Like for example, you're going to have noticeable better frame rates per second. Like for example, in the main hub right here, I was able to increase it by at least 50%. I think that the lowest I've seen with the X11, it was about like 45 to 50 on maximum settings on my system. But then when I switched to the X12, I was able to have even like 79, 80, 80 plus with that version instead. Now what you're seeing right now in this footage with the X12, unfortunately it kind of affects my OBS recording. I'm not really sure why, but I can assure you that it was really smooth in game. The only issue right now with the X12 in the demo client is the fact that it has a ton of frame drops. So even though you might have higher frame rates per second, it's gonna stutter quite a little bit, so you're going to have to wait a little bit until the full game launches, but it still looks pretty promising. On a final note, the only thing that I want to cover is, well, how many shards do you have right now unlocked for your character? I've seen some pretty wild things over on Reddit, like one user called Cypher posted his right here, which is like way higher than mine, by the way. Now if you do want to check your shards, what you have to do is to just head over into your character screen, just hover over the shards right there in the corner of the screen, and it's going to show you all of the bonus shards that you have unlocked, like especially for firepower, for crit damage, anomaly power, and all of that. And again, you might want to maybe hunt for quite a few of these because you're going to be able to use them in crafting immediately once the game launches and you get access to that crafting vendor right there. So pretty awesome right here. But again, tell me how much of these have you unlocked. This is it for now. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video at any point, as always, don't forget to leave a thumbs up on it, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.